this is Padma from padmaali.com, and today we're going to be talking about meditation and the power of silencing your brain and how that can actually help you as a leader to make decisions that are going to propel your organization forward and also help you make better decisions. In one of the past videos, I talked about calming the nervous system down and how having a very clear nervous system is going to help you make better decisions as a leader. So today I'm going to take it one step further. And in that, I talked about one of the steps of calming your nervous system with meditation. Today, I'm going to take it one step further, where we're going to be talking about the power of silencing the brain and how that can give you access to higher consciousness and silencing the brain, and which I kind of as a synonym connect with meditation. So notice, right? Like we have in a day, we have hundreds and thousands of thoughts that come in and out, in and out. It's like clouds in the sky. They're constantly there. But what happens is, and this is something I've seen over the course of 24 years of doing this work with people, what I've noticed is that there are certain thoughts that our brains will kind of hang on to really tight. And those thoughts, specifically, what I've noticed are the negative thoughts. It's almost like the brain, because of conditioning, is so focused on the negative thoughts. Like there's something about, like I've seen this over and over again. We know that negative thoughts don't serve us, and yet there's a part of us that kind of hangs on to the negative thoughts. And if you have positive thoughts, it's not like, it comes in, like most people are like, oh, you just let it come and you let it go. However, with the negative thoughts, we hang on to it. And when we hang on to those negative thoughts, then it creates, see, thoughts have energy, vibration, frequency to them. So thoughts create emotions. Emotions create vibration and frequency, and then that brings back to us similar events, incidents back into our lives. And so this is why we have to be mindful of the kind of thoughts that we allow into our brain. See, we have no control over what thoughts come in. However, we do have control over what thoughts are you going to hang on to? What thoughts are you going to put your claws in? And you have a choice to not put your claws into the negative thoughts. So that's one of the reasons I want to talk about silencing the brain. And I'm going to describe more in detail. And then we'll talk about meditation and how that can be useful to you as a leader of your organization. And how can you promote this, how can you utilize this to help make decisions, but also how can you use that to talk to your employees and your teams about the power of silencing the brain. See, there's the brain, and then there's the mind, which I call as consciousness or universal consciousness or divine mind or whatever words you want to call it. But it starts first with the brain. The brain is the lowest level of thought function. The brain is the conditioning that we are used to from day one. Any thoughts that are limiting, any thoughts that hold you back, any thoughts that doesn't create harmony and peace within you is created in the brain. So there's a distinction I want you to start making. There's the brain, and then there's higher levels of consciousness, which is the mind, which is what I call the mind, or I call universal consciousness. I call it consciousness, the universe, God, whatever name you want to give it. Okay, so the brain, what happens with the brain, it's just conditioning, right? Constantly we're used to that. And it is the brain is really important. It's also called ego, right? The brain is super important because, first of all, and brain doesn't even capture the amount of information that we can have access to. Brain is so limited. However, we need the brain because the brain allows us to brush our teeth every day without thinking like, what am I going to do with this brush? Or know how to ride a car or drive a car or ride a bicycle, or when you throw it in the water, you know exactly how to swim because you don't have to think about it. The brain's function is very much like a computer. It wants efficiency. It wants to know that you are going to get things done. You're going to be safe. It is survival focused. That's all its job is. Its job is to make sure that you are safe in its mind, in its eyes, like safe, like your physical safety, and your mental safety is often connected with physical safety by the brain. That's why so many people fear rejection. So many people get nervous about public speaking because it's like, oh my God, like I'm going to be judged. The brain associates all those things with literally like being a survival mode. Okay, so the brain, we have to learn to silence the brain in order to reach higher levels of consciousness. And when you sit in silence, when you seek answers in silence, you will be amazed at the information that you have access to, because the universal consciousness has access to everything. Everything. That is why you will see there's a lot of successful people to spend time in silence every day because they're accessing information that the brain cannot access, and that can only come when you literally bypass the brain by silencing the brain and getting to a higher level of thinking. I really invite you to do this and try it out on your own, because don't take my word for it. Like, I want you to experience this yourself. See, most people who gravitate towards me tend to meditate, they're mindful. This bird is so loud. So the bottom line is most people who gravitate towards me know what meditation is, and I'm here to teach you how can you use the silencing of your brain to a more higher level that is going to allow you to make the decisions in a more efficient way. And then also, how can you use this knowledge to start talking to your teams about it? Okay, so the one method to silencing the brain is by meditation. Meditation is a beautiful way to silencing the brain. I'm going to show you a quick way when you to quickly shut the noise from the outside, go inwards. Okay, just start by taking a deep breath and let it go. One more time. Let it go. Okay. I want you to close your eyes and take another deep breath in and let it go. One more time, deep breath in, keep your eyes closed. And let it go. Open your eyes. Do you see how quickly you stop the chatter in your brain? That, my friend, is the power of silence. And you can access this so quickly. All you have to do is go inwards, and there you have access to that. It's that simple. So you get to, obviously for meditation, you may have to sit longer than 30 seconds, right? But make it a daily practice. Meditation, there's so many forms of meditation. The simplest thing that I'm going to share with you today is just sitting in silence without moving your body. There's a reason we don't move our bodies in meditation, because it is no different than falling asleep. When I used to teach, so sleep is, I'm going to digress a little bit and then bring it back together. When I was sleep training my kids, which was basically sleep hygiene is something you learn. It's not something that is innately second nature to us. We have to learn sleep hygiene. So when I was teaching my children how to sleep, one of the things that we would practice is to keep our bodies still. Because if you notice with little kids and they're moving around and moving around and moving around, right? When they move around, it keeps them awake. That's one of the reasons why they move around so much. And they fight sleep. A lot of kids fight sleep. But when you keep your body still, you automatically fall asleep. Now, meditation is not falling asleep, but it is no different. What it does is it calms your brain down, it calms your body down enough so that you are in a deeper state, you're in a calmer state. So, keeping your body still during meditation is so important. Now, the second step to meditation is just allowing your breath. First, you can start by focusing on the breath, and then you let go of the focusing of the breath also. You just let it all go, and you're just allowing yourself to breathe in and out and in and out, and then you're not paying any attention to your breathing. And then comes thoughts. You're going to have lots of thoughts, and your brain, even if you're not a squirrel brain, is going to go in all kinds of squirrely direction, because that's what the brain does. When it is still, it is going to tap into all kinds of stuff. So you allow the brain to just be, meaning let the thoughts come, let the thoughts go. You allow the thoughts to come in and out like clouds. You don't hang on to anything, even if they're like, oh my God, you did not shut off the gas stove. Like, this is what the brain does. Yes, you did. You did shut off the gas stove, and it is just giving you random things so that you don't sit in silence. So allow your brain to just let the thoughts come in and out and just be. In the beginning, you may, if you're new to meditation, then you may want to just start with 10 minutes. But eventually, you want to get up to at least 30 minutes. 20 to 30 minutes is the ideal per day. If you can sit in silence per day for 20 to 30 minutes, it'll really help you. So this is vital. Like, this is what, then now let's talk about when you have a practice of meditation, how do you access information to make decisions as a leader, especially when you're dealing with people? First of all, your nervous system is now starting to calm down. So you're not like jolted by all the things that are coming at you about all the decisions you need to make. This is why there's like people who talk about decision fatigue for leaders, because there's so many decisions you're making. When your nervous system is in a calm state, when you can access divine consciousness or higher levels of consciousness, now you have access to information that goes beyond the mind, the 3D, the ego level of thinking. Then it's no longer just focused on the logistical details that often analytical details that our brain gets very occupied with. And then you can access intuitive feelings that teach you, where can you take this? So then when you have to make a decision, you will automatically start to go into silence, and you'll be able to access deeper levels of information that goes beyond the logical level of thinking. So that is vital when you're making a decision as a leader. Now, the second piece to all of this is, how can you start talking to your teams about this? See, meditation is no longer very new, or like nobody's going to be like, you meditate? Like, no. Most people are like, wow, you meditate. Great. So how can you bring this culture to your teams? So how can you start talking to your teams and your employees about calming the brain? How can you start teaching them to go beyond the logical, analytical way of thinking and access your intuitive mind and make decisions based on this combination versus just the analytical mind? How can you make space for all of this to happen? So start to think about that, start to process it. You can play videos like mine, you can invite speakers to come in, you can talk to them about having 20-minute time where everyone meditates, like make that a mandatory thing for your teams. There's so many different ways that when you do this as a collective with your teams, you will find that the productivity goes into a higher productivity increases when everybody in your team is operating on the same level and frequency. So that is something that I wanted to really reiterate to all of you, because not everyone is new to meditation, but how can you utilize this to make bigger decisions, to make better, efficient decisions with your teams? All right, that brings us to the end of this video. This is Padma from PadmaAli.com. I help evolve leaders like you reach your highest potential and creating success formulas for you that you can then use with your teams. And also, follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my podcast, Padma, Create Your Vibrant Life podcast. And I will see you in the next video. You take care.